So that's really that period between East Timor and Iraq. It was quickly get the rest of the checks in the box to be a fully qualified commando. Then it was, okay, you're going to pretty much be changing from like your green uniform to like a desert uniform. And it started to spin up that cycle of preparation to go and fight in Iraq.
When you were deploying, getting ready to deploy for Iraq, compared to East Timor, where it was a peacekeeping mission, did you have a sense that this was going to be more of a kinetic environment that you're going into?
Yeah, I did. I really did. And it was really a blessing how my step through the military worked, because it was like, I'm a young kid. I'm going to go overseas, serve my country. They're going to give me real bullets. They're going to give me a real gun. And I can go and, have all of this real stuff and have the ability to use it. But those opportunities, thankfully, never presented themselves. I came back. I learned how to use these tools a little bit better. A few other things I added to my toolkit. And then like the political climate and everything that was being said about Iraq, I was like, okay, like I'm glad that I had that time to figure my life out being a soldier. This time I feel like we might be getting into it. We might be starting to really take the fight to the enemy. So I was a little bit more amped up at that point, but I felt like I was ready.
It's interesting that you use the words amped up, and I think it's something that people, that myself included, and I've come to understand this from talking to veterans, that when people volunteer to become in the armed forces, that it is something that you guys you trained to do. So you do want to go over and deploy and get into the fight, so to speak, and defend the country. Given one of the things when I was researching you, your strong faith came up. Did you have to reconcile that deciding to go into the military in the first place? And then how did you reconcile that going into more of a kinetic environment? Or did it even factor in?
It did. And like I said, I felt through the progression that I was only put into situations that, God had me prepared for. So I was like, before I went to Timor, I was like, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm this and I'm that. Use me for whatever it is that you have in my path. Like if you want me to get into a gunfight, make sure that I can do that. I've been training to be.
So this is your conversations with to God, so to speak, not to the military.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously the military think I'm good enough to go over and serve. I think I'm okay to go over and serve, but the big guy upstairs, like I need your signature, man. Like I need you to give me the green light to do this. So I did that. Nothing really happened. I wasn't really pushed to that point, and I always say, thankfully, like nothing bad really pushed us to do what we were supposed to do there. And I was okay with that. The next time around, going to Iraq, like that was where you asked me about what my parents thought. I think about at that point, I was around, I was a couple of years into the army at that point. And my dad kind of saw, hey, I thought you were just going to be, going to join the army to play a bit of footy. Next thing I know, you're a beret qualified commando that is like chasing, the darkest of the darkest operations to fight in. What happened? So there was those kind of conversations. My grandma, she's like, this is a little different, Andrew. This is not peacekeeping. Like you're about to go and, potentially interdict, weapons of mass destruction. Like that's not, East Timor, peacekeeping and, playing with kids and, building a few schools and that type of thing. So that kind of like influenced me to be like, okay, so this is a little bit more serious. And those conversations with my family kind of induced conversations with the man upstairs. And I think those opportunities really refined my faith and pushed me like, hey, like if this is where you want me, there's been plenty of soldiers in the Bible. Hey, I'm cool with this. So I was a little that drew me closer, not as close as I am now, and not as close as it brought me when I did start to get into those gunfights. But these were like those elementary phases of like really fostering where I pull my strength from. And that was a key part before I went to Iraq.
So as Aussies, we don't really talk about God and religion and faith and all that
Right.
sort of stuff. But it's interesting that you just said that you pulled a lot of it from your faith in regards to your mindset. And I'm interested that you contribute it more to faith rather than your own mental strength.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I really to this day put it down to it's not my flesh that got me through a lot of the stuff that I got through. It was what's inside me, right? And that was something that I was pretty open with, and I'm not going to downgrade, or this is just my opinion. It really wasn't. It wasn't really. I don't want to say it wasn't reciprocated. It just wasn't really a conversation that was openly entertained amongst my peers.
Because we're Aussies, we don't discuss it.
Whether that was the rank structure that went up the pole, or the rank structure that went down the pole. Like it was like, Andy, and I can say it because, I know who I'm talking about, and the guys, that see this are going to laugh about it. Like they were like, yeah, Andy's a bit of a freaking Bible thumper. Like look out, like he'll wear you out. And I was okay with that. And
watch out for Andy, he's a goddie. That was the conversation.
Yeah, he's a full-fledged Bible thumper, so stand by. And I was okay. Like I knew I was that churchy kid that ran that program, and I was fine with it. And later on down the track, if we get into it, I think there was some opportunities where guys really started to see like, hey, whatever it is whatever voodoo, magic, wizardry that you're into, man, like it's working, man, because when you're around, like we seem to just like, we're okay.